This is Noel Tate, one half of the Velvet Drapes from Trapped in a World, the Howard the Duck podcast, and you're listening to Capes and Lunatics.
Hi, this is Phil, and I'm here to tell you all about the Capes and Lunatics Patreon. Don't miss out on our comic book creator interviews, including our monthly Chichester chats with comic book legend D.G. Chichester, superhero movie brackets in our search for the worst comic book movie of all time, and many, many more specials, all completely uncensored. Access starts for $3 a month, full video when you pledge $5 a month. Check out the link in our show notes or go to patreon.com/capesandlunatics. Hope to see you there.
This is Luca Perich, and you're listening to the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
Recording has started. In a world of capes and lunatics, of gods and monsters, there are those threats so great no one hero can stand against them. In those moments must rise a team of Avengers, and this is Avengers Declassified. Good evening, my friends. I am your host, Charlie, the Professor Esser, and with me, as always, is the blue-eyed bomber of the Burger Pits,
Phil Podcast Perich.
Welcome back, Phil.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, my goodness. Today we are discussing Captain America 275 to 279. Truly Cap's greatest struggle. Well, maybe not, but still a struggle nonetheless, because this is actually, and here's what I'm going to say, this is one of my most, I am so fascinated. Who is the writer on this, by the way?
Friend of the show, Mr. J.M. DeMatteis.
Oh, DeMatteis, yeah. Because he is playing with old Cap's and Sam's mind here, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like a lot of this is about, and again, piling on from the mind manipulation aspects of the previous issues, this seems to be, what is reality? What is fantasy? What is any of this, Philip? Are we who we say we are, or are we who others make us become?
Especially this time with Sam, when the cosmic cube gets involved.
Yeah, and honestly, man, that's rough. But you know what I actually like about that? I like the idea of Sam Wilson running for Congress, and here's the sad part: is I don't think he actually wins.
No, I don't think so.
And that's the thing. It's like I really feel like Sam Wilson, if there were more superhuman Congress people, or even, and again, Sam Wilson's not even superhuman, but someone who lived that life, who came in to say, look, I understand what you're saying, but you need to understand what it's like to live in this world.
Yeah.
Well, that's it. To understand things. Yeah.
Well, like Sam Wilson, it's like the Jon Stewart character for me. It's like now they just make them like military men. Like I like Sam Wilson as like the social worker, as on the DC side. Like Jon Stewart, he used to be an architect before they made him like a Marine or whatever.
Yeah. And, I think in its own way, and that's the thing. I think when you get to a character like Sam Wilson, and especially when you get into the MCU version of him.
Oh, yeah.
Where, yes, he was a soldier, but he was also working at the VA.
Yes.
And he is also doing that social work aspect of it. Now, granted, within the context of being a hero and a hero and a soldier, but the idea of the Sam Wilson who's trying to help on the individual level, I don't think it's necessarily lost yet.
Yeah.
Although I get where, it becomes more lost as things go on.
I mean, I guess in the MCU, I get that he has to have some kind of military background, just so it's like, oh, hey, if you're going to have a Captain America who doesn't have super soldier serum in his veins, yeah, you're going to want like somebody with like a military background or training or something like that.
Yeah. Well, you definitely need the training. Although you'd be surprised how much training you can get in barroom brawls.
Oh, true.
One of my favorite, that's always one of my favorite scenes is Conan the Barbarian trapped in the 21st century, when he explains that, it's a very different kind of strength you get from fighting against death and lifting iron lumps, It's like, yeah, I get you have a lot of strength for lifting rocks, but you know what? I have strength for choking people to death, so that's a useful skill for me to have. I do love Conan the Barbarian. Moving right along. I like that dual aspect of the stories, though.
Yes.
That we stop with Cap's story and then focus on Sam's story. It's like about a 5-page filler, but it's interesting in interesting in that it shows a real microcosm of these people's lives. And when compared to Cap's, it does open up things. Cap, of course, is here with Bernie, and this is still a young relationship. And you know this because later on we're going to meet Bernie's ex-husband.
Mm-hmm.
Ex-husband, Philip. What is this, Rhoda? I mean, what are we dealing with here? She's just some New York girl, and she's already been through one round of husbands. She's on to round 2. Now, granted, yes, I know, Rhoda did not get married or divorced until the later seasons, and technically Mary Tyler Moore was the girl who was supposed to get divorced in Minnesota, but still following along with the plot threads and what people were thinking at the time. It's interesting to me in this discussion because this does, again, especially as it gets revealed in later issues, is so much of the pettiness of the Zemo line. And I'm sorry to all you Zemo stands out there who think you finally got a hero you can look up to.
Well, a lot of those MCU Zemo fans don't know this Zemo.
Philip.
I know. I mean, he's not the greatest guy in the MCU, but I mean, they don't even know the levels the character can sink to.
But what I'm going to say at the end of the day is it's the same character. When he starts talking about how he's a baron and he has all this wealth, from the Sokovian royalty that he was, which was part of the Sokovian oppression of rebellious democracy seekers. I mean, it's like you don't have to be a genius to put 2 and 2 together to realize that you're just mad that they aren't serfs anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Zemo, and this Zemo is mad that he doesn't have serfs anymore. Oh goodness. But I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. So what happens in the first story? That is mostly this is mostly the setup. He runs in and we meet his old pal. What's his name? The doctor. We see a Vermin who is cool.
Yeah. Vermin
who deserves better, we can all say. And then this guy, the chubby guy.
Arnie Roth.
Arnie Roth, who is apparently one of Cap's many oldest friends.
Yeah, he kind of has the he's kind of like the Marvel Comics version of instead of Bucky, this was Steve Rogers' childhood friend, but except he didn't become a superhero. He just aged. Yeah.
So he just stayed in Brooklyn, became a
yes,
doctor.
and it's a 1982 issue, so he has a male roommate.
Well, as you do.
Mm-hmm.
But he has a son too, so he did his genetic duty and passed it along to the next generation. And I guess this is his son Michael, was Michael his roommate?
No, Michael's the roommate. Yeah, no, Michael's the roommate. Yes,
I see. Okay.
Yeah. No, because I've talked to James DeMatteis about this. Yeah, I mean, yes, they are lovers, but I guess Marvel didn't want them to say that back then. They were just like, oh yeah, they're roommate, very close roommates.
It's just Oscar and Felix,
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
They're just an odd couple. One's clean, one's messy, and wackiness ensues. Yeah. And then we get the Nazis, spray painting the temple.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's one of these things where it's like, when was this written? Was this written this week? I don't know.
Unfortunately, some of this stuff never goes away for too long. Yeah.
I know, but what's weird is that there's a part of me that thinks, well, modern day Nazis wouldn't be pinning swastikas on things. And true today, most modern Nazis don't spray paint that many swastikas. But there's always one in the group that says, let's just be who we are. Out and proud, swastika babies. Yeah. And we got our little wannabe Nazi, who again is just he's all in with the Nazis. So that's good. And that's where we first get our implication of what was the past of Sam Wilson. And it's interesting in this sense, in the idea that he was Snap Wilson, he was Sam Wilson. I think, like, lately in life, they've sort of reformed who he was and who he should be.
Yeah.
But in that moment, it was like, yeah, but, then the Red Skull used the cosmic cube to make me into Sam Wilson, social worker. And I prefer the idea now that he was Snap Wilson as a child. Then he became Sam Wilson, the social worker. So that's a nice idea. I like Steve tearing up the work for the person who was waiting for it, because he said, "Tell that old Jew he can wait."
Oh, Mr. Bennett, yes.
Yeah, and it's like a little bit like, dude, first off, like, who says that kind of stuff in front of people, even in the 1980s or the 70s, whenever this was. You just tell Mr. Whatever, I'll be with him in a little bit. I have to deal with the current business I'm in. And everyone said, "Yes, sir, that's no problem." And he would have politely waited, and they would have politely finished their business. But no, you got to throw out racist epitaphs and everything. And then, of course, everyone goes to the Nazi rally.
To counter protest. Yeah.
Yeah, to counter protest, yes. I understand the premise, and then we see that Zemo releases the protoplasmic monster, wackiness ensues, the Nazi and Sam, the other Sam.
Yeah, Bernie's ex-husband, yes.
Bernie's ex-husband. Again, she's really young to have an ex-husband.
I think that's what the shock was. Steve and all his friends are like, "Oh, you're too young to have an ex-husband,"
Yeah, it's like, well, it didn't work out really quickly.
Exactly.
And I think that's sort of like, a matchmaker, make me a match. I don't like the match. Thank you very much.
Could be married at 18, divorced at 19.
Yeah, and that is when she first realizes Captain America must be Steve Rogers.
Oh yeah, because he's giving that speech to the Nazi and Bernie's ex-husband, and be like, the Nazi, "You're bad." Saying to Bernie's ex-husband, "You sink to his level. You're as bad as he is. Because you started this violent protest.
Yeah.
And just the words he says, she's like, "Wait a minute, I've heard this before."
I mean, not to put too fine a point on it, but the idea that the guy who says, "I want to kill everyone," and the guy who says, "I do not want you to kill everyone," says, "You're just as bad as him." It's, well,
Yeah, but
maybe not.
Maybe not as bad, but I mean, he's the one who started throwing stuff, and it's like, "Yeah, let's beat up the Nazis."
Well, but you know what? And again, it's like when someone's central defining core belief is the eradication of other people.
Yes.
And then other people say, "Well, I don't want you to eradicate me as your core belief. So maybe I should throw a brick at you to say, don't you try." Maybe that's a valid form of counter-protest. I'm not saying violence is the answer. I'm just saying, you know what? Have we tried killing them yet? As they used to say in the 70s. But yeah, no, and he's right. But he is right that, it doesn't help the situation, because that's, of course, the problem with most situations is there is a legal system that will resolve most issues if you're willing to be dogged about it.
And I think Steve's too, innocents could be hurt. Bernie's here, their elderly landlady's here. Yeah, he's like, someone could be hurt.
There are many people that could get caught in the collateral damage, And it is like, you don't do this. And you also don't instigate the fight.
Yeah.
You don't throw the first punch. When you're two teenagers in a hallway saying, "You want to fight?" "Yeah, I want to fight." "So we'll throw a punch." "I'm not going to throw a punch. You throw the first punch." And then you just mostly stand around each other and say, "I ain't throwing you. You throw you." "Well, then I guess we just won't throw a punch then. Man.
Yeah.
Don't you ever cross me again.
And I think the other point
you cross me again. So fine.
The other point they made too is like when they showed up, they're like, man, there's way more counter protesters here than actual Nazis here. You know, I think we really outnumbered them. So it's like,
well, that was the common thing at the time. And not to get all super connective on you here, Philip. That was the point.
Oh yeah.
The Nazis wanted to look like the inferior group, just exercising our free speech. Mein Herr. And these big bad people, they start throwing the rocks at us in the air.
Well, yeah,
that's what we need to do.
That too. You don't want to get them any sympathy because it's like, oh, yeah, look at this footage. 100 people were throwing stones at these 4 poor little Nazis.
Yeah, but I believe in the Blues Brothers perspective, which is F the Chicago Nazis. And, I will drive my freaking Impala through them
F all Nazis.
if I had an Impala and there was freaking Chicago Nazis in front of me. It's okay. I don't mean I'm going to run them over. I'm just going to push past them.
Yeah.
And they should know to get out of the way. Because Chicago Nazis don't deserve our sympathy. Oh, and that's where we get canceled, so I'm sorry. Moving right along. Then we got this group that is, again, these people, America as it once was, America as it could be again. Let's recruit Steve Rogers for that. And that to me is, last episode we discussed Steve turning down the opportunity to be president. Now again, a group of smarmy cigarette-smoking people in a small room are saying, let's recruit Captain America to do this.
And again, you say about themes coming back up. America as it once was, America as it could be again. Doesn't that sound like make America great again?
Philip, I'm not saying they stole it, but I'm going to say that Mr. DiMatteo should be suing for royalties.
Yes.
I think he should be saying, I have a lawsuit against the Trump organization saying, you stole my campaign slogan. I would like to have full remuneration for the ideas you have taken from me, sir. I know he probably doesn't have enough money to start a lawsuit of that nature, but I am saying I think he's got a really solid case. It's like who else said let's make America great again? Anyway, so that plot line plays out. Let's see. Do we get the reveal of? I know we have the Doughboys. We have Arnold Roth. We have the revelation of the evil monsters. I feel bad for poor Vermin.
Oh yeah, because him and the rest of them, the mutates, we'll see. Yeah, I mean Zemo or Arnim Zola transform them against their will. Yeah, because when JMD Mateo starts writing Spider-Man, he brings Vermin back in, and yeah, I mean Vermin's in Kraven's Last Hunt and other stories, and it's like it's this is just a guy that they grabbed, and transformed against his will. So
yeah, he's just and I know, and that's the thing. I know Vermin is not a good person, but I also know Vermin doesn't deserve everything that's happened to him. I think Vermin needs, a nice place to run free and live his little rat life with his little rat friends.
Well, again, I mean, it's not that he's a bad person. He was transformed. I mean, at this point, I don't think he even remembers being human before this.
Yeah.
Eventually, the memories start coming back, but yeah, no, at this point, he doesn't even remember anything before being Vermin.
Yeah. And meanwhile, of course, in this episode, Sam, again, and this is weird to me because I almost feel like someone's let out a mad bomb in Sam's office where he's just losing his temper left and right. Maybe I'm wrong in that. I don't know. But, yeah, he seems to be having a bad day. He throws a garbage can lid that, which, not for nothing, I think that's very much supposed to be reminiscent of the Shield.
Oh.
They do that all the time. And they didn't want to imply someone was doing a Captain America move with a garbage can lid as a shield. But anyway, let's talk about 277.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, because at the end of this one, we see it. It appears as if Baron Zemo and Arnim Zola are working together, but
that's not Zemo, my friend.
Oh no, that's not Zola. Yeah.
Oh, that's not Zola, my friend. Yes, I'm sorry. Although we do get, before we get that reveal, we get the You threw me in the vat of Adhesive X.
Yeah.
The only problem is I wasn't wearing a mask. Now I'm hideously deformed.
So now his face matches his father's.
Well, ironically, we don't know what his father's face.
Oh, that's true. The mask was stock. Yeah, no, his mask isn't stock. It's just his face is messed up.
Well, actually, part of me wonders if he had just let the adhesive form on his face, it would have just been a normal face. And it's just no, unfortunately, my face is stuck with this adhesive X now, so...
They say it's
hard.
Yeah. I don't know if it was more like an acid for this Zemo, because, his face is all melty and stuff, which...
Well, I get the feeling that's him trying to remove the freaking adhesive
Maybe.
And honestly, not for nothing, it's like freaking Dr. Doom all over again. Where you get a little tiny scar, it's like, no, put the mask on me now! I don't care!
I mean, unless he couldn't...
I'm already hideous!
Unless he couldn't breathe. But, I mean, he even says in this, because it was from issue 168, I mean, he tried to hit Captain America with his own shield and basically bounced himself into those chemicals.
I know, and the thing is, okay, let's say he couldn't breathe. Then just open your mouth. Just create something to open it. It's if you need to, but don't cut off your own face because you're mad about all this adhesive X on your face.
Again, I think it's just the chemicals that did that. But again, he bounced himself in there, so...
I know. And again, he knows the Avengers
have
the dissolving formula for adhesive X.
How dare you defend yourself when I'm trying to kill you?
Honestly, Zemo, this is why he is up there with Hawkeye.
Well, a certain personality type to lead them Thunderbolts,
Yeah, I don't like Zemo. I like him even less after this issue. Let me just put it that way. And that's a statement, because I didn't like him even before this. Anyway, so yes, but we do realize that the Zola we think it is actually isn't Zola. It is Ultimus?
Primus.
Just like the big brown beaver. Yes, Primus is here and can transform himself into anyone, including Steve Rogers.
Yes, because they figured out Steve Rogers is Captain.
With Birdie.
Oh, I know.
Oh. Yeah, that's where we're going with this, kids. And then we have the two roommates there, and I'm sorry, I did a quick read. That's why I didn't pick up on that. Though I do like what we get at the end of this, which is after Cap is captured, after everything is done, and they lock up. Where am I now? 78. Is that where we're at?
Oh, yeah. If you go to 278, yeah.
278, we get. Okay, no. So in the previous one, we actually they just decided to lock up Vermin with Cap.
Yeah.
And Vermin and Cap are the ones who defeat the two robots.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Vermin, they're the robots. Well, the two roommates, their minds are in these robots, and I guess there's exposed brain matter on the robots, and Vermin just rips the brain matter out of one of them. So
yeah, which is also kind of there was no other outcome here, and that kills, of course, the other roommate situation.
Yeah, not right away, but yeah, it eventually kills him. Yeah.
But I'm going to say this about the whole thing is that that's a much older roommate than that roommate had. I'm just
Yeah.
Go ahead and limb on that one there and just say, you know what, there was...
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like, Arnie was older than the roommate, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe he just didn't take care of him. But if he was... if you say that he's from the 40s...
Yeah, supposedly he was childhood friends with Steve Rogers, so, yeah, he ain't going to be no spring chicken.
It's and this is already the 80s at this point.
Yeah.
So
early 80s.
He's got to be in his late 50s.
At least.
Now, granted, the other guy, maybe he just took really good care of himself, which is not unheard of.
Maybe.
There are a lot of really attractive people my age. And I look like I could be this. I could be this guy, It's I look at him and it's wow, I'm sure glad I kept my hair. Because you would not know it wasn't me if that was that. But, we send all of the Doughboys after Cap. But I guess all of the Doughboys are also, have human brains in them. Is that what it is?
Well, I think they're all, transformed humans, I think. That's what it is. They're all victims. Yeah, so, Cap,
That's why Cap looks crazy when he says, quit killing the freaking synthoids, man. You think they're just synthoids. They're not.
Yeah, because Arnie clues him in. So yeah, Cap finally stops and talks to these guys and say, you know what, don't let Zemo make you guys, murderers or victims. Yeah,
But I do like Vermin getting his little bit of revenge against Zemo.
Yes, because S.H.I.E.L.D. comes in, they start mowing down these mutates, and Captain America's like, no, don't. They're they're victims and stuff. But no, Zemo gets away in his little ship. But yeah, Vermin's hiding in this ship.
Vermin's like that. And honestly, it is a disservice to both we as readers and Vermin as a character that he didn't get to be the one who kills Zemo.
Yes, because they both come back. Yeah.
I don't mind Vermin coming back. I just want Zemo.
Oh yeah.
And then we get Cap facing off with Primus, who's trying to score with Bernie at the malt shop or the diner.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Sam is confronting the priest and coming to his own terms, and then suddenly, weirdly, turns into the Falcon, which doesn't make 100% sense.
I mean, he was taking off his suit jacket, so were they implying that his costume was under his clothes?
It was always under his clothes? I mean, I guess that's a possibility. I don't know. To me, it just seems like, and then, and again, it goes into this idea that they've dealt with later, which is like, oh yeah, it was always this quasi-mystical quality that caused the differences between them all.
Well, and then the last page too, it's like, oh yeah, the priest has been out of town for weeks or something, and Sam's like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
Basically, it was my mind fighting back. It was my mind fighting back and trying to heal and stuff.
That's a possibility.
Yeah.
I just think it was Loki the whole time.
Again, cosmic cube, residual cosmic cube, man.
Yeah, man, cosmic cube stuff that messes you up. Don't try cosmic cube, Phil, even once. Okay, moving right along. So I want to talk some stuff. Did you have any Avengers books you wanted to talk this week?
The only thing I wanted to throw out real quick was Ant-Man #2.
Well, tell me about Ant-Man. I'll tell you about Shang-Chi, and then we're going to talk about the real issue in the MCU and the Avengers right now.
But, I mean, again, remember we're doing the time travel thing, so issue 2 is Eric O'Grady, the irredeemable Ant-Man.
Oh, one of my favorites. Oh, did that came out?
Yeah, yeah. But I
gotta get more stuff on my pull lists. I always forget.
So, but basically, I mean, we get a little bit of the time traveling Ant-Man, but it's this one it's set right before Secret Invasion, so Hank Pym's in it too, but it's the Skrull Hank Pym.
Oh, Skrull Hank Pym, the best Hank Pym, I think we can all agree.
Because he's all worried like Eric O'Grady's going to figure it out, like Pym's a Skrull or something, but he's like, no, this guy's too stupid. He didn't figure it out.
Yeah. But that was actually a running gag with Hank Pym Skrull. Because there were actually like 4 different Hank Pym Skrulls. Which they actually do in like the backup books. Because every so often Hank Pym would call like, what's his name, Dum Dum Dugan. And would say, yeah man, we're in real trouble. It's like, listen to me, And he would basically say, look, we put a person who is way smarter than you in you. And you have to understand that just because you figured it out doesn't mean that the humans will figure it out. And he was like, no, dude, I am basically a human. Humans are really disturbingly scary to me right now. Because I've been in this body and I'm realizing how freaking, smart they are. I mean, not for nothing. They're a plague upon the universe, don't get me wrong. But humans are incredibly clever little cockroaches, and they will destroy us if we don't rethink our stratagem. And then they always kill that Hank Pym, make a new Hank Pym, and put him in place. And it's just this reality that it's like, yeah, of course, because you make one of the smartest people in the universe your Skrull. He's also going to have to look like the smartest person in the universe, and they're always trouble. They're always worrying that they're going to get caught out. Not only because they're super smart, but also because Hank Pym is a big ball of neuroses. Sorry, you just triggered a memory from the old Secret Invasion days.
Yes.
Can't wait for the series. So what else happens? I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I mean, that's pretty much it, because Eric O'Grady was looking for more Pym particles, but meanwhile, then he eventually discovers that, like, the helmet can make its own Pym particles, because that's what the Skrull Hank Pym was worried about, because he's like, I guess he put some Skrull tech in there, that's why the helmet can make it, like, its own Pym particles and stuff.
Ah, okay, that's smart. So, one book I had from last week was, of course, oh man, this was a sad story. This is Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings #2.
Oh.
This was from last week. Shang-Chi is an Avenger, so it's allowed.
Yeah.
And basically this is like a callback to his time with MI6 and his one true love, who I forget her name now. Leiku Wu. She's there in the purple. And Phil, when someone shows up dressed in purple, what should you think they are?
A villain?
Dang right, Philip. To be fair, Shang-Chi is wearing green, but still.
Yeah.
He's also wearing red. That's a primary color. And man, not for nothing. There is just... So, Leiku Wu married this British guy in MI6 who used to be their partner. And it turns out that he's been captured, but he's also going to... By the way, I love the name here. The guy's last name is Velcro. So, but that is an actual name, and the guy who invented Velcro probably made a good bit of money off of it.
Oh, so, sure.
But you see that he's got this like little metal plate in his head, because he's actually a mind-controlled zombie run by the guy from MI6. Because at the end of the day, the English cannot allow the Ten Rings to be in the hands of people that may not use them wisely like we, the British, would. Hui gewollt! So that's the end of that episode. And, and if you don't remember, the whole plot line of the Ten Rings is Shang-Chi having to deal with the fact that everyone sees him as a villain. Maybe he's going to have to become the villain. Because, honestly, the only reason the pyramids are in Egypt is because they were too heavy to move. All right, Phil. Can we talk a few minutes about the MCU?
Yes, sir.
Yes, because, okay. So there was a show, so I don't know if you've seen it yet. It's called She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. It's like the Hulk, but there's a she in front of it because the Hulk in question is, in fact, a female Hulk who, prior to becoming a Hulk, was, in fact, an attorney at law. Okay, we all caught up? Good.
Yes.
So there are two interesting aspects of this story that I do want to address. One is, which was a big controversy from the first episode, which is the revelation that Steve Rogers, in fact, did have sex prior to going into the ice.
Mm-hmm.
It was expressly stated it was in 1943 with a woman he met on his USO tour. Now, this led to a great deal of negativity, but also an interesting side bit of negativity from some people who I understand why they were upset, but I think you need to differentiate the two groups that were upset. There is a group of people for whom sex is seen as sinful, and so they felt that suggesting Steve Rogers did have sex before marriage or sex with someone other than Peggy Carter was somehow demeaning to his character. And I reject that whole cloth. I actually think that people who think that, who see sex as something that cannot be enjoyed in a positive way, are negative people. And I don't cotton to that, ever.
I could see it happening. Again, people didn't talk about it as much back then. I mean, I could see Steve totally doing it, but I don't know if he's the old-fashioned type he is. I don't know if he would tell Banner, but I could see him doing it.
Well, I could see if they're talking about it, it's going to come up.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about it. So, you ever see the 40-Year-Old Virgin, Phil?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and there's a scene where they're talking about sex. And of course, the 40-Year-Old Virgin doesn't want to be seen as a 40-year-old virgin for numerous reasons, including the social pressures that are placed on him. And he starts trying to talk about sex, and he clearly doesn't have any sense of what sex is. Because despite being a 40-year-old virgin, he's not a weirdo. So it's like, and I don't even want to say a weirdo, but he's not a person that has dealt with sex in other situations, you know. He hasn't explored the sexual world beyond what was available. But he wants to sound like he knows what he's talking about, so he makes up statements that immediately anyone who listens to it is going to say, I don't think you've actually ever done that. So to me, if Steve is going to talk about that, it's going to come off as someone who, no, I did it. Here's what happened. You know, she was, you know, and again, not for nothing, to make the point that this was clearly set up. It is Star-Lord's mom. Well, it's the woman who played Star-Lord's mom. So we can say that that was clearly something that maybe was intentional. And so, and again, within the context, we don't know what their conversations were, what their relationship was. We just know they met on the tour. Mm-hmm. And we see them meeting, and the next scene is 1943. So clearly, there's the scene, they meet, they have a conversation, and in 1943, they have that moment, and then Steve goes off to war, and then it's yada, 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 because we do say that it is 1943 when he goes behind enemy lines. So, within that context, Steve has not been with Peggy Carter in years. As far as he knows, that was a really nice thing, but they never got to explore it. Here's this woman who maybe is very responsive to him, and they want to be with her. Mm-hmm. And so he does, and it ends, and life progresses. That said, at the same time, there are a lot of people who are or asexual, who really kind of felt that it was this obsession with virginity is toxic in its own right. And they are correct in that sense, that it is a toxic thing to be obsessed with whether or not someone has had sex. But to act like it isn't a reality for people is also a failure. And to say, well, we either have to just let it be unknown or put it into a puritanical context, I think is also a failure. We have to approach this sexuality of Steve Rogers and the sexuality of superheroes within the context of, you know what? These are people. These are human beings having relationships. And even if we want someone to be a paragon, being a paragon doesn't mean that they have to follow a strict morality that you have doled out for whatever reason you have doled it out. And the reality is, I don't think that Steve Rogers would have been opposed to having sex with someone who truly respected him and whom he connected with. And to think that only Peggy Carter could be the person he could connect with, I think is kind of silly.
Yeah.
We all had high school sweethearts. Most of us didn't marry them. And, you know, we connected with those people. We connect with other people. And that's what we do in life. That's what I wanted to talk about from the comic books we read, was the idea that the guy, when his roommate dies, reads Steve the Riot Act about making his friend's death about him. Making his roommate's death about him.
You mean in issue 279?
Oh, that was one we read, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying about it. I didn't think we talked about it.
No, we didn't, and I forgot to. Because I wanted to get through the books, talk about this, but I think this also encapsulates it very nicely. It's this idea that, you know, here's this guy who just lost the love of his life, and he's saying, and Cap's like, oh my goodness, death follows me everywhere. Yeah. And he's like, dude, do you want me to punch you in the face? I'm an old fat man, but I will punch Steve Rogers in the face. Because, you know what? I just lost the love of my life. Mm-hmm. And you're going to say this is your fault because you're a superhero. And so now you have to take all the pain on you. No. Do you think life is just always nice? No, life is, and honestly, in the context now, it makes so much more sense of the idea that, no, you know that me and my roommate could have gotten arrested at any time and sent to the House of Corrections, and there is nothing we could do about it right now. So maybe you ought to just shut your pie hole, Steve Rogers, and let this moment be about me and my morning, not you and your self-pity, you freaking schmuck. He says it in a nicer way. But, you know, it is this idea that, you know, so often we get again, obsessed with this psychosexual problem with superheroes, where we have to say, this is who they have to be, and they have to be above or below or around or this. This is who they have to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the statement of his friend is that, first off, you don't have to be anything to anyone. And also, you should know your own lane. And getting to knowing your own lane, that's where I want to get into She-Hulk. Because, of course, that is the origin of this entire conversation. And there was a recent-ish episode where She-Hulk, from what I understand, no CGI was used. That is Tatiana's took us doing the twerk.
Yeah, but I mean, they kind of do CGI to show green skin, but yeah.
Yeah, no, but that was her.
Yeah, that was her. Yeah,
that was all her. She was feeling her moment. She was being in her own personal power, and that's fine. I got no problem with that. And then people were like, they would never have her twerk in the comics. Meanwhile, someone points out that John Byrne had her
jumping rope. Yeah,
not naked. So they made a very important impassioned point in the comic.
But in a bikini, yeah.
Yeah, she's in a bikini because, and I think this is really what the actual point of the She-Hulk conundrum is that the She-Hulk is very aware that as strong as she is, there are people stronger, and people see her in a sexualized way, and she cannot stop that. And I think one of the things that John Byrne did strangely well is he could both understand the sexual exploitation of women in comics, comment upon it, and then also happily participate in it as well. He was clearly a guy who had a kink, and
it's like he did it, but he could admit it.
Well, exactly. That's really what it was. He oh no, I totally think that's like creepy and weird that people like that. But you know what? I totally like it too.
Yeah.
But I also know that I'm creepy and weird. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying I totally get where they're coming from. And so within that context of She-Hulk, I think that it is an important thing to remember that she is a sexual being. And people often are sexual beings.
Oh, yeah.
And here's what I'm going to say, even if a person is asexual or aromantic, or any of the other groups that exist, they exist within a context of their own emotional status, which they have a right to. They have a right to say, I have a limitation, and I have a line I'm going to draw, and there are things that I am not interested in. And She-Hulk has that too. It may be a different line than you have, but she still has it. But she still has to deal with the social pressures to be who everyone wants her to be. Because the world wants her to be, I don't know, That's the thing. If She-Hulk embraces her sexuality, suddenly she's another word that starts with S. And if she doesn't, then, that's because she's this other thing. And there's no right answer and there's no right way. And in the end, when there's no right answer and no right way, the only way is to just say, what is right for me, and then walk that path.
It's just a silly moment. I mean, especially with special guest star Megan Thee Stallion,
Who is apparently a person that people like. I think she's an entertainer of some sort.
Yeah, she's like a singer, yeah.
Yeah. I get that, and I don't mind that. And I think she wrote one of the dirty songs that's very popular among the kids.
Yeah, and I think she twerks, so that's the inside
fine.
Joke, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't mind that. It's fine for her to do that too. If that's her shtick, mazel tov, enjoy it, have fun. But I don't care. And I think that's the biggest problem. The biggest problem in life isn't what people do. It's people who want to judge others for doing it. And to me, it's like, you know what? If you're happy, if you're doing okay, I'm not going to judge it. Unless you're hurting someone else. If you're not hurting people, why is this an issue for you? Why is this person's morality a concern for you?
And again, I mean, I know people are big MCU fans. I mean, I'm a big Marvel fan in general, but I know not every character is going to speak to me, or every moment is going to speak to me.
Most don't. Did you hear how much I dislike this Hawkeye guy?
Oh, I know. Yeah, almost as much as that Zemo guy. I know.
Honestly, Zemo, Doom, Hawkeye, MCU Hawkeye. I want to say is better, if for no other reason that he actually has a family. He's not just some random carny hobo. Really, if you want to be honest with it, that's the difference between MCU Hawkeye and comics Hawkeye. Is MCU Hawkeye is like a guy and a dad, and who's trying to do best, and like comics Hawkeye, he's just a hobo.
Well,
he's
yeah,
a very talented hobo.
I mean,
he's a murderer, and literally, Phil, he's a murder hobo.
Okay, I mean,
I'm sorry, he's a maiming hobo.
Well, yeah, I mean, think about it. I mean, MCU Hawkeye, he's basically, father, a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Comic Hawkeye, he answers to nobody.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. And also, ironically enough, S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Hawkeye has killed many, many people.
Yeah.
But he's cool with it. He doesn't obsess about it the way hobo Hawkeye does. That's my new... So, Hawkeye in the comics is hobo Hawkeye, because he's a hobo. Let's be honest. Whether or not he's a stabbing hobo or a singing hobo is up to him.
But again, those Thunderbolts comics were 1998. Back then, Avengers don't kill. And now it's just like, we don't kill anyone who doesn't deserve it.
No, Avengers still don't generally kill.
Not for the most part. No.
No, although they do torture a lot, and that was a weird thing for me when Avengers started torturing people. I'm like, wait, what? No, Avengers shouldn't do that. I don't care if it doesn't kill them to break their arm or break their fingers to do this, but Avengers shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Honestly. And this is, of course, what She-Hulk's there to do, is to just say, you did what? What did you do to get this confession? Okay, you have to leave now. I feel for She-Hulk. She has to deal with something. Especially in this business, because she's in the business. She knows who these people are. She knows what they do and how quickly power corrupts. Okay, Philip, let's call it a night. Unless you have anything else to say.
No, I'm good.
How can people find us? How can they give us money, Phil, for wonderful, delightful objects like this?
Ooh, well, first of all, yes, next week it'll be more Captain America with Captain America 319 through 322. Yes, it's like two-part stories, so... very good stuff. But yeah, so send us your thoughts on those. Email us, CapesandLunatics@gmail.com, or call the voicemail, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And hey, send us your She-Hulk Attorney-at-Law thoughts.
Yes. We'll even read them on the air.
That's right. We got enough shows.
Show or the other show.
Yeah, we got enough places to read this stuff. Yeah.
We'll read them on all the shows.
Yeah.
If you guys write to us or call us, we will absolutely do this. Philip, how can they...
What I said, 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. Yeah, or just send your audio on at CapesandLunatics.com or CapesandLunatics@gmail.com. Yeah.
Sometimes I think that the calling is easier.
Yeah.
It's easier to do when you're drunk. That's what I'm
saying. Okay. So all you drunks, use the phone number.
Like, listen, let me tell you what the She-Hulk needs. More She-Hulks.
Oh, God. All right. So, yeah. Or you can even just write to us on, you can find Avengers Declassified on Facebook, on Twitter. So you can always write to us there. Again, subscribe to the Capes and Lunatics YouTube channel. Everything gets a video. So smash that subscribe button so you don't miss any of it.
Smash it.
And, of course, the Patreon. Again, paying for this out of your own pocket. Every little bit helps, but $3 to $5 gets you early access to creator interviews, including the monthly Chichester chats.
I got the good mic out for you guys.
And superhero movie brackets. We will find the worst superhero movie of all time by the end of the year. So get all that. Just subscribe. Like I said, $3 to $5. Or pick us up some Capes and Lunatics and Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks merch. Yes, t-shirts, cups, much more. So find it all at link. It is very comfy. Capes and Linktree, linktr.ee/Capes and Lunatics. Get late. All right, Charlie Esser, where can the people find you and your thoughts?
Well, of course, they can always find me in that old-fashioned email way, the way our mothers and fathers once did. At superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, at gmail.com. And follow me on the Twitters. I live tweet things like Stargirl, except I think I already missed the first episode. At Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the two E's in the middle. For what?
For quality.
Bing.
Thank you, Maz. Dear friends, you have listened to another episode of Avengers Declassified. This podcast will self-destruct in 10 seconds. Good night.
Or a little more than 10 seconds.
Well, you know. Well, you could always time and just put in a big boom at the end.
Oh, true.
If you want it to be longer, I can, say 20 seconds. I mean, you're the producer, man. I don't know.
Now we gotta
I like the idea that this podcast will self-destruct.
Yes.
Because it ties into that Mission Impossible thing.
Yes.
Xenu worshiping guy. I don't know, whatever that guy is, but he likes that stuff. Zemnu, that's the name.
Hi, I'm one of the High Priests of Khonshu Ray, and I have the sacred privilege of providing you, the loony listener, with a podcast honouring Marvel's very own Moon Knight. So join me and a host of others at Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, or support the show by becoming a Patreon member. Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. It's time to get your Khonshu on.